Hey guys, it is the middle of January and I officially want to wish you happy holidays. I had great plans for this channel for the holiday season and none of them happened. But that's okay. We're just gonna kind of pick up where we left off and I'm gonna be talking about the books I read in December today. So hi, my name's Talia. I love books. I love bandanas. I'm so glad you are at my channel today. I'm not gonna lie, winter is really tough for me. Um, First of all, there's just the holidays and having young children and homeschooling and just the chaos that kind of comes with everyday life. Um, but in addition to that, I live in the Pacific Northwest and the rain is relentless. Especially this year, it is just really hitting me tough. It is 40 degrees and raining pretty much every day. And when I say rain, it's not like rain that you can like go out, have a walk, still enjoy life in. It's like down to the ground, clouds surrounding you, like you're just in a cocoon of rain. And for some reason where I live, every time the rain stops, it just like fog comes in. So like the rain stops, but it just like circles in this like dark, foggy darkness. And I don't know, I've just really been struggling with it this year. In addition to that, I have decided to rescue or to foster some kittens. I fostered through our local humane society. I decided to pick up some kittens at the end of November to foster. And this is my second batch. I've had a batch before that was like 5 crazy, fun, loving little kittens. They were just chaos and they'd snuggle you and like want to be played with, and like they were really little and I was just like raising them up until they were old enough to be adopted out. But this past batch that I got was behavioral modification, and that basically means they're like really feral and want to kill you. Um, Only exaggerating a little bit. So I got them at 7 weeks and they were just super, super like scared and didn't want to come anywhere near me. And one, her name is Clarice, because every time I would go in to see her, I would just be like, hello, Clarice. Because she literally would like, anytime you got near her, she would hiss and spit and like, it was very scary. That has just taken a lot of time and energy trying to turn particularly Clarice into a happy cat. So she's actually still with me. I'm not sure if she'll be wandering around today because she is still pretty timid, but doing her best to become a good little kitten. Her brother and sister have already left and gone out and been adopted, but Clarice's behavior is still not fit for the average human household, so she's still with me. So yeah, that just kind of sums up the past couple months, and I'm glad to be back. I've been missing talking about books to you all and missing the booktube community in general, so we're gonna do my best to kind of get myself back in there, starting with this video. So I think maybe because of my winter mental status, pretty much every book I read in December made me cry. And they're not even really that sad of books. Something was just going on with me that I'm like, oh, I can't believe this is so sad. I'm not feeling like crying now, but who knows if I talk about these, who knows what will happen. So 6 books I think we're gonna talk about today. So let's jump into it. And I do have my notes because I don't remember anything these days. Okay, the first book I read, I actually listened to an audiobook, was Part of Your World by Abby Jimenez. And this is not in my typical genre of reading. This is a romance. I don't read a lot of romance books. I think how this one came on my radar was one of the prompts when I was reading in November, the Get a Clue readathon. I'll put a video if you want to know about that chaos up here. But one of the prompts was to read like a book out of your comfort zone, and I never, or out of your like typical genre, and I never did that in November, but I had put some options on hold at the library, some like physical holds and some, I can't remember the word, digital holds, audiobooks. There you go. Some audiobooks on hold too. And right at the beginning of December, this one became available, and I was like, you know what, I'm up for something new. I'm gonna listen to this book. You guys, Part of Your World, it wrecked me. It was so good. And I have to say a disclaimer, there was more graphic content in it that I typically read. And I typically don't like to promote books with like that kind of content in it. I will say it was more mild than many other books in the romance genre. Like, you could definitely probably get by with a PG-13 rating on most of it, pushing it on some parts, but it wasn't terrible. Definitely more than I would like to see. But man, this book was so good. So our main character is Alexis Montgomery. Alexis is an ER doctor. She's just gone through this like breakup with her boyfriend, who is like mentally and emotionally abusive. And she is has very high pressure from her parents to perform and be a certain way. So she is driving one night home on these like backcountry roads from, I think it's like a family funeral. She's like driving home and she swerves to hit an animal and she ends up in this ditch. And she ends up getting pulled out of the ditch by this guy. And we kind of go from there. They start a romance. She lives far away from him. She knows that he can never fit in her life because of all this pressure and expectations that's on her from her family. And man, I just loved it so much. So it was dual points of view. So half of it is told from the point of view of Alexis and half of the point of view is told from the point of view of Daniel. And it just kind of goes back and forth and says like what happens from her point of view and what happens from his point of view and their story of like wanting to be together, but like mainly Alexis being like, well, how can I make this work when I have all these expectations? And she has like these parents that want her to get back with this boyfriend, even though he was like super like mentally and emotionally abusive to her. And I just loved it. Like, I was laughing, I couldn't stop crying at parts. Like, I just thought it was so well done. It tackled such good topics. I think like mental and emotional abuse in relationships is something that is very complicated. I think like physical abuse is much easier to be like, oh, well, you gotta run. Like, you know, you can't be with someone that hurts you physically. But I think the topic of like mental and emotional abuse is much harder to wrangle. So I loved how she handled that. I think it was done really well. Family expectations, and just like how do you be true to yourself, but also keep your parents happy who have given you like everything you had. I can't say enough good things about it. It really impacted me really deeply, and I'm still a little confused about why, but I loved it. I'll definitely be reading more from Abby Jimenez because I just loved that book. Okay, next book I read was The Man Who Died Twice by Richard Osman. I did a buddy read this with my friend Erin, who is not on BookTube, but she had read the first one and I had read the first one, and we were like, we need to read the second one together. So The Man Who Died Twice is the second book in the Thursday Murder Club series. This is a group of elderly individuals who have very different backgrounds, who live in a retirement community together and try to solve mysteries. And I actually liked this one better than the first one. I thought it was more about like kind of their relationships together as a group, and there was obviously like one big mystery they were trying to solve, which had some great twists and turns that I did not see coming. And I just thought it was done really well. Definitely will be reading the third one. This was great. I did cry, yep, at one point. I can't remember, two of the characters were having like this meaningful, heartfelt conversation, and I was just like, it's so beautiful, I can't handle it. So yeah, I really liked that one as well. Crying in Hmart, I definitely cried in. This book, man. So girl's story of basically losing her mother to cancer and living after that and grieving after that, and throughout the whole book is woven stories of all this wonderful Korean food, because her mother was Korean and she's half Korean, and she grew up spending like summertime vacations in Korea, And yeah, it was really well done. It was obviously really sad. It hit close to home, especially like the end stages of her mother's cancer, and just how raw and like descriptive she was with them. I was present for some of the end stages of my grandmother's battle with cancer, and it's just nothing like you see on TV. It's nothing like you can fathom or imagine, like the pain and suffering and like just how miserable it is until you have been there. So yeah, I thought this was really well done. Definitely shed some tears there too. But a good read, definitely recommend. Okay, what was next? Oh, okay, Instant Karma by Marissa Meyer. Yep, cried. Teeny bopper book. Don't even know how this happened to be read by me. Well, I do know. I read Cinder by Marissa Meyer and loved it. Loved the whole Lunar Chronicles series. Thought it was great. And so I was just researching other books written by her, and I was like, oh, I'm gonna check this one out. And so right away, when I started reading it, I was like, oh, this is not like Cinder. This is very much like, Cinder is like, I don't know, kind of like teenagers, but like older acting teenagers, like who are battling to save the world and going to the moon on these crazy missions. You know what I mean? And this is very much like set in a high school. Prudence is your main character, and she can't get along with her lab partner, and she wants a better grade, so she's like fighting to get a better grade, and she ends up like volunteering at this rescue center with her like enemy that couldn't be a good lab partner, and it kind of goes from there. And then like a little bit into it, hang on, I got kids singing, I gotta turn off monitors, hang on. Okay, so then like part of the way into it, she like gets hit on the head, and then she realizes that she has like the gift of karma. Like when someone does something that's like not right, like she sees someone spray painting like this billboard, like graffiti on it, and she like looks at them and is like, that's not right. And then like they fall off and break their leg. Okay, so so random, right? And like the first like few chapters, I'm like, I can't read this. Like, this is just like a book for teenagers. You know what I mean? But I kept going, and I ended up loving it so much. It was just such a cute, sweet, like teenage romance. Like, it just made me root for the characters. It was super clean because it's written for like, it almost could have been middle grade. I mean, it was above middle grade, but it was really it was just really sweet and cute, and I definitely was crying at one point towards the end when there was like this turning point and something happened, and I was like, oh, I can't believe he's doing that, and I was just like, oh. So I don't know, again, my mental state, pray for me, y'all. But I was crying during Instant Karma by Marissa Meyer, and I'm definitely gonna read. She has another coming out with like these characters in it. I think it's one of her twin brother of the main character. She has another book coming out this spring that definitely gonna read, because Marissa Meyer can do no wrong in my eyes right now, so that's gonna happen for sure. Okay, the only book I didn't even want to shed a tear a little bit was Gallant by V.E. Schwab. And this is the only book that I really did not enjoy for December, and that was a bummer for me because I typically love V.E. Schwab. I've read The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue. I've read, what are they called? I can never remember. Vicious and Vengeful. Love that duology. That's like 10 out of 10. So I picked up this one by V.E. Schwab, and I just didn't love it. So the main premise is there's this girl, and she lives in an orphanage, and she kind of has a miserable life there. She doesn't speak, so she is made fun of, picked on by a lot of the girls, and just is having a rough time. She also can see like ghosts like lurking all around her, and they're like kind of like half creatures, like half a face with the other half blown off, and like just these like creepy creatures. And she gets a letter one day from like an uncle at this place called Gallant to come and visit, or to come and live with them, actually, to go and live there and like be adopted into Gallant. which would be great, except for she also has this journal from her mother that she's kept like throughout her life and basically like memorized because she's read all these things her mom has said, and her mom says never go to Gallant. But her mom has passed away, and this notebook has like all these crazy drawings in it, and like her mom was kind of losing it by the end of her life from what it looks like in the journal that she has. So she's like, well, I guess I have to go to Gallant. Like, this is horrible here in this orphanage for me, so I'm gonna go check it out there. And it kind of goes from there, and it's I don't know, it was okay. It was kind of creepy. There's a lot of like ghost stuff going on. There was kind of a found family aspect that I really usually like, but I didn't feel like it was that like strong or rewarding in this book. And I didn't really like the ending. I thought it was just kind of meh. So yeah, that was a bummer. I wanted more from V. Schwab. So this is not one, I mean, I still thought the writing was good and it was well done. There was a lot of like repetitiveness that I didn't really enjoy. It was cool. Like there's a lot of these like pictures from like the journal. So like there's some neat like artwork and stuff in it, but overall that one was just okay. And it's funny because this book, I feel like at times, like it was trying to make you feel sad, like about her situation and about the losses she's endured and stuff. And I didn't even shed a tear. I was just like, okay. So, so it's like I go from sobbing over like, over like young adult, teenage, high school drama to like dead inside. I don't know. Okay, the last book I read was actually a Christmas book. And this was funny because I recommended, or I requested through NetGalley, Christmas at the Cat Cafe by Jessica Redland. I got this book like back in September, and then I actually never read it with my free NetGalley copy. The like license expired because I didn't read it in time, but it was still in my NetGalley, and I didn't want to just say, no, I'm not going to read this book because that looks bad for like your NetGalley ratings or whatever. So I was like, well, I got to get this book. So I put it on hold in my library. I actually read a Kindle edition. Hello, Clarice. I actually read a Kindle edition of it. And, you know, it's funny. I love cats, as we know. I'm not a huge fan of like Christmas books. It's just not something that I'm like, oh yeah, it's exciting. Let's read a Christmas book. But I thought this was really cute. Didn't love it. Like, it's not like the best book ever written or anything. I didn't even think the writing was that great, honestly. It was kind of like, kind of choppy and, well, I don't know. It was super cheesy, definitely. This girl has 16 cats. She's opening a cat cafe, and her like boyfriend who's supposed to open it with her bails, and so she is like forced to kind of figure out how to do it on her own. And she also has fibromyalgia, which is like this disease that causes significant amounts of pain, and it's kind of a new diagnosis, so she's kind of trying to figure out how to just live with that. And yeah, it kind of goes from there. And there's like some romance involved that was like pretty cheesy, but also pretty cute at times. It was super clean, which I appreciated. It was nice, especially after Part of Your World was like a little more graphic than I wanted. It was nice to have a book that was like clean and just heartfelt and warm, and like didn't take place all around Christmas, but like kind of leading up to Christmas. So it talked about like the decorations of her cat cafe and like getting it ready, and like, I don't know, it was a cute read. I think having a cat cafe would be pretty fun. I could have done without some of like the extra details. Like at some points, she literally has 16 cats, right? And I think there was some points when she was like, and then this cat was sitting here, and then this cat was sitting here, and then this cat was playing with this cat, and then this cat went over here. And I was like, okay, we don't need to know what's happening with every single one of your 16 cats, right? But I enjoyed it. I appreciated it. I think if you're looking for like a cute cat read around the holiday season, that is definitely one that you should pick up. Okay, that sums up December. And yeah, so overall, a really good month. Definitely some books I recommend. And don't be dissuaded by the crying. I don't think a normal person would cry during any of these books. Maybe Part of Your World. That book that book gutted me a little bit, so maybe that one would get to you too. But oh, and Crying in Hmart. Yeah, you'll cry. If you don't cry during Crying in Hmart, there's something wrong with you, because that book is so sad. But anyways, that's all. Hope you're doing well wherever you are. Hope you had a good holiday season. Hope you are enduring the winter, if that's the season you're in. If you're down under, hope you're having a nice summer. I wish I was there. Hope you take some time today to read a good book or two. And if you're having a bad hair day, just wear a bandana. Bye.